Hi there, and welcome to No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
I'm Jason Hill,
And I'm James Blackburn.
and on this week's episode, we're going to discuss electricity,
Yes,
Or-
or the lack thereof.
the lack thereof. What happens if all of a sudden the power goes out? And there's a lot of things to consider when that happens.
Yep.
And one of the things that we're going to talk about is some of the items that you might not think of that you're going to lose. What are you going to lose when the power goes out? It's not just lights.
Right, well, lights is the most obvious one, but you can also lose your source of heat for your home. Obviously.
Which would be a huge factor in the wintertime
Yep.
if you that's your only heat source. If you don't have a fireplace or something, losing your heat is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, and in some parts of this world, it's so cold that could literally be a deadly thing. So,
It can.
yep.
Temperature, maintaining your body temperature, and hypothermia sets in. It's a quick killer.
Yep.
And so, with that in mind, having blankets and extra warm gear in case that happens is always a big plus.
Yep, which is where the sleeping bags really come in handy, not just for camping. If you need them in an emergency situation, even in your home, it would really help out a lot.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that you lose the ability to do is cook when there's no power. A lot of times, that is a big issue.
Yeah, if you have an electric range. Now, a lot of people do have gas stoves, and that's great. But for those that have an electric stove, then yeah, you've lost your power to cook, but you've also lost your power to purify water, which if you're in the survival mode, you'll
Yep.
need to do. And so you have to think about what backups do we have that will allow us to cook. Do you
Very
have
true.
a propane grill out in the yard?
Yes, I do. I have a grill in the back as
Well,
well
why
as
don't
our
you bring
camp
it?
stoves. Well, I'll bring it next time.
Cook up some steaks.
Well, and speaking of grilling, another thing when you lose power is you lose your ability to store food with electronic devices such as a refrigerator or a freezer. And we were taught about that on another episode that, you don't have power, keep that refrigerator and freezer door closed as long as possible.
That's right.
So that you can keep that coolness in there as long as you can until either A, the power comes back on, or B, you eat everything that's in there before it spoils.
That's right. And you want to start with the refrigerator because obviously those items are going to spoil
Yep.
quicker. So open it up, grab some food, close it, eat up those items. Then you can go to the freezer items. And another little trick in your freezer is as you're reducing the amount is to pack them all close to each other because they maintain their core temperature
Yeah, exactly.
as opposed to being spread out in the
Yeah,
freezer.
they help to insulate one another and keep frozen longer.
Yeah.
Now, another thing we lose when we lose power, can't wash our laundry.
That's true.
And that falls under the sanitation thing of the 6 core areas that we talked about on previous episodes. Cleanliness, it's very important.
It's really important. And a lot of the things that we're discussing are for extended crises or natural disasters. Most people can get by for a day or two, but if you had to go 2 weeks and you don't have any way of cleaning your clothes, etc.,
Yep.
those are some things to think about.
And especially if you've worn them more than once or even several times, it could really start to have some issues with it.
Now, what's another thing that people take for granted with electricity when it comes to bathing?
Well,
The hot water.
hot water heater. Yeah, that's true. I hadn't even thought about that. That is, even though it's gas powered to heat it up, it still needs electricity though too.
That's right. And so, if it is the dead of winter and the only water you have is freezing cold water, you have to be prepared to bathe or whatever you're going to do and dry off quick and get
Well,
warm
and
again.
guys like us, we've bathed in really cold streams and rivers, so we're kind of prepared for it. But
Sure.
the average person may be a little bit of a shock.
Yeah. And
Another thing, too, about losing power is you lose the ability for communication. Not like how we are communicating right now, but, phones, TV, radio, all that stuff is dependent on power.
Yeah, so how are you going to get your news? How are you going to get updates about what's going on, Those things are all important. And so when we come back, we're going to focus on a lot of those items. What can you do when your electricity goes out? What are some different alternate power sources that you can use? We're also going to have a special guest joining us, and we're going to get some insight on that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, and
Tune back after the break because, like you said, we have a special guest, and we're really looking forward to it as well.
yeah, this is going to be great. So yeah, the food, so many people.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that one time when